Hello and welcome to the base broadcast. Today we have Leo with us.
Thank you very much, Leo, for joining us.
Thank you. Good to see you guys.
So I think we should just start with our broadcast. So
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about your startup journey? How did it start? What inspired you to start?
Okay. Wow, that's it's a very long journey. I think so. Initially, because I was also a student of UST, a great place to be to do startup. And initially, I was thinking about trying to do something that's like interesting. Yeah, actually, that was the whole premise of like starting something new. And then also when I was in exchange, and then like there are a lot of bombardment of ideas, and then suddenly have the urge to work on something like very interesting. So it just happened that it got on an idea, the first startup, Sensbeat, and then started to prototyping, started to find more like-minded people to join together, and so on. Yeah, and that's like the early stage. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we also heard that one of your startups landed in the Silicon Valley. So how was that experience like, and what is different in Silicon Valley?
Yeah.
Why is it considered to be the mecca for startups? What's
Yeah.
different there?
Yeah. So we were quite fortunate. Because it was during we were still students, so there were a lot of challenges because like UST's work can be pretty intense, so we had to decide on how much effort, how much time we put in the startup and also the work. Yeah, so we decided to all go for the startup. So we barely can I say this? Yeah. We barely went to classes for one semester, and we just went to the first class, midterm, and final. Yeah, and it was difficult as well because we knew nothing. We knew nothing about nothing. Actually, we have to figure out along the ways. Yeah. So afterwards, after more teammates joining the company, and then we managed to get some publicity, get more users, build the products, join multiple competitions, and so on. And then through like Cyberport and some other partners, that we managed to go to the Bay Area, Silicon Valley. Yeah, and it was a very interesting experience. Yeah, and during that time in UST, actually, we had to take study leave, and so we were like go all in on this. So we took the study leave and then finished the remaining credit and so on. So a lot of like arrangements going on, during that time. Yeah.
Right. So you talked about competitions and you participated in a lot of them, and I can tell you were quite successful as well in those times with competitions. So what do you think is the key to sort of making your way through these competitions and coming out on the winning end?
Yeah, I think actually those competitions and all that, I mean, in hindsight, were not as useful in like building a real company, building a real business. So I think really focus on the people, the customers, the users who use the service or the product. Yeah, I think this is like the super important things. Like only a few things, that actually matters. And basically that's it. Yeah, like very focused on this. Yeah, the other things are like distractions. Yeah.
You mentioned you learned a lot along the way.
Yeah.
Can you describe more about what you learned during the way of your journey?
Yeah, because a lot of the things that we had to do, we still have to do these days, like when there are like new problems, then we have to figure out like new ways to solve it. So basically to improvise or to like figure out things along the way, that kind of mentality is like very important. Yeah, so this is like one of the things that we were trying to train or to practice. Yeah, and I think a second thing that we learn is let me put it this way, is like when we reflect on the things that we did, after the first or during the second startup, we realized it's super easy to fool ourselves. Like the easiest person to fool is ourselves. So we have to be like very aware of this. And then a second thing is that the ability to like communicate well and communicate clearly, it's super important. Yeah. And a few other more. Yeah.
Right, so through this illustrious sort of a journey, I'm dead sure you must have faced a lot of rejection, a lot of failures as well.
Oh yeah, most of
along
them.
the
Yeah,
way.
like
So-
90%.
Yeah, so what did those failures teach you, and how do you advise young entrepreneurs to deal with failure?
Yeah, so I would think it's like they are all setbacks, like really determined on, like if we believe in something enough, like we will try to find ways to make it happen, and rejections are actually fine. Maybe the first 10 or like 20 rejections are more painful, but as you get along, rejections are like it's like regular thing. Yeah. And if there are no rejections, then it's, now that I think it's something weird, like, oh, why is it not like why is it so smooth? Like you think more about why is it so smooth. Yeah. So I think that kind of like the mentality, it's personally, I think it's actually quite important. It's like the tenacity, it's like the determination to actually do something regardless of the result. Yeah. And if it happened to work out, then it's fine, and if it doesn't, then it's also fine. Yeah.
Was there ever a moment you wanted to give up? Or how did you bounce from that moment, if there was?
Yeah, there are like multiple. I wouldn't say no, but then I've always been quite confident about the things that we are working on. So when we are in doubt, or when I'm in doubt, then usually I just pause, and then I think clearly about what we actually want to do. And I think one of the most difficult thing is not whether, like, not giving up, but then like when you believe in enough, like at the end of the tunnel, like, will there be light? Yeah, that kind of questions. Yeah, it gets like metaphysical, it gets philosophical. Yeah, like a lot of time it's like walking on the desert. Yeah, you feel like, oh, where am I? Where am I going? Yeah, that happen. Yeah, and that feeling is not good, because you feel lost. And another thing that we learn is it's very okay to be wrong, and it's more important to be clear. And if it's clear doesn't mean it's right. Like clear, and if it's happened to be wrong, and it's okay, and just like pivot along the way.
Right.
Yeah.
You mentioned working with good people. Have you ever had any conflicts with your workers and your co-founders? How have you solved them?
Yeah, I think like what people call like co-founders conflicts are quite common, actually, because when we are good friends, we play games together, we study together, then it's very hard to know, based on our previous some of like school relationship, or like life relationship, that can translate to like working relationship. So that has to be also like de-risked. So by having some project together, so I always really suggest, like, don't call it startup at first, because it sounds big, it sounds like so fancy, and everything, like anything fancy is not good usually, and it's better to start with like a project. So in school, it's actually I think it's like the best place to find co-founder. So so I'm a huge I have very strong opinion about starting early, and starting especially in school, and where you meet more people. There will be like intersession, or like different communication with engineering department, business school, humanities, and all these departments. In a cafe, you just talk, and then you started to build something together. So it has a higher chance of meeting people with different backgrounds. Yeah. Afterwards, in work, and it's not impossible, but it's just like more difficult. Yeah.
You talked about failure and how you faced so many hardships during the process, but you were passionate enough to still bounce back and commit to the process. But it's definitely not all roses in the process, right? So for our young listeners, when should they be aware enough that they should stop and not pursue something any longer? When is it they should realize that it is not giving them the returns anymore? So
it's a very interesting and difficult to answer question, because I thought about this question a lot, because I consider myself as not that easy, to give up on something. But I realize, it can either be very determined or very naive. So it's such a fine line. So what I realize is that when you think about the things that you're building, whether, for example, if you have like a personal meaning attached to it that gives you more real determination to work on it, or actually some irrational reason, can be like vanity or others, or the third thing is it's similar to what we talked about, like at the end of the tunnel, do you think there will be light? And these sort of questions. I still don't have a very good answer. I'm still exploring, but these are some of the I would say perspective that I try to put into when thinking about this.
Has anyone ever inspired you?
Yeah, so many. I think one of the best things among a lot, it's get to meet a lot of people who believe in you, who very who really trusted you, and then at the same time they happily share the experience. They want you and the team and the product to be good. So I think this is actually one of the I would say one of the best things that that happened during the journey, when people genuinely expressed look at me, you can do it, you can do it. It's like coach, it's like a super coach, or like a mentor. A lot of mentors along the way. That I think them as a mentor. I don't know if they think me as a mentee, but I just assume they do. So going back to the startup journeys, I think it's really the resilience, all those things that persistent, all those things that actually matter more than others. And there are also some podcasts that are good, that can spark different ideas or the spirit, and a lot of online resources that are good as well. So especially useful in during uni. The earlier that you start, you have a little bit of an advantage, because later on you have a family, then you have more considerations that need to be made. So I would strongly recommend, if you really want to start something, then just start.
Just like you mentioned, your sources of knowledge were these podcasts and books, and you recommend these resources as well. Similarly, for our viewers, we also have our Base Bulletin, which is an incredible resource for young entrepreneurs like yourself. If you are passionate about reading about industries, what's happening, what's changing, you should definitely subscribe to that. And of course, the Base broadcast, where you get to interact with such amazing personalities. So thanks for sharing.
Thank you. I love Base podcast.